Somerset proved their immense power in this season's T20 competition by beating Middlesex by 40 runs on a high-scoring day in Taunton. Neil Dexter won the toss and elected to have a bowl first, and then watched Marcus Trescothick and Craig Kieswetter go crazy in the power play overs from the very first ball. Crucially, Kieswetter had a life in the opening over bowled by Tim Murtagh. He was dropped by Tom Smith on the cover boundary and picked up a 6 for his efforts. It was a very expensive drop as both openers threw the bat at everything with some explosive cricket, something often seen by the Somerset batsmen but rarely executed as well as this. The score was rattling along. Kieswetter was back after missing the last few weeks through injury, and he was making up for lost time. This was his second 6. And it was added to by Trescothick as the home side got off to more than a flyer. It was extraordinary cricket as the pair put on 61 in the first 22 balls of the match. Middlesex then would have been mightily relieved to get a wicket as Trescothick drilled a drive off Stephen Crook into the hands of Jamie Dalrymple to go for 20. Kieswetter appeared to be unstoppable though. It was an awesome display of hitting from him. His quite remarkable 50 came off just 18 balls. He'd hit 9 of them for 4 and 2 for 6. It was battering rather than batting. He was out to his 22nd delivery, by which time he'd already smashed 59. This was one shot too many. The entertainment in Taunton was incredible. Peter Trigo hit the final ball of the power play overs for a 6 as Somerset moved on to 90 for 2 from 6 overs. And it didn't get any easier for the Middlesex bowlers after that. Dexter may have been able to put the field back, but that made not an iota of difference to Roland van der Merwe, who just continued where Kieswetter had left off with some sensational batting. Dexter tried to change things around, but whoever bowled, the result was the same, as van der Merwe hit 6 after 6 with some very clean hitting. This was, for all except the Middlesex bowlers, 2020 cricket at its very best. 5 summers ago, Somerset broke a record by scoring 250 in this competition against Gloucestershire, and that was now under threat as the 139 runs were scored off just the first 10 overs. Van der Merwe's 50 came off only one more ball than Kieswetter's. Between them, they'd struck 100 off only 37 deliveries. Van der Merwe was disappointed when he was given out. Anthony Ireland's full toss was a high one, and the batsman thought that it should have been called a no ball. He was caught off it and departed for 51 to end a partnership of 81 in 6.2 overs. 2 balls later, Trigo, not a batsman to play second fiddle too often, was run out by a direct hit from cover by Dexter to leave Somerset on 164 for 4, but only in the 13th over. By the end of the 14th, that total had moved on to 181, with Josh Butler also out for 8, as he skied another Ireland full toss to Smith. Given what had happened before, Middlesex would possibly have taken the last 6 overs, with Somerset scoring 54 runs. 9 runs and over was considerably less than the rest of the innings had gone for, but as Errol Sapaya and James Hildreth finished it off, Somerset was still able to finish on a massive 235 for 4 from their 20 overs. So, how to try to chase that down? Well, Paul Stirling had a mighty fine go at it, striking Steve Kirby for 2 sixes in the opening over of the innings. Keeping wickets in hand was always going to be a problem, especially when Chris Rogers was brilliantly held by van der Merwe to go for 5 to the 8th ball of the reply. It was possibly left to Stirling to hit the shot of the day, an extraordinary drive for 6 off Lewis Gregory as the Irishman raced on to 34. That came off only 14 balls and was ended when he timed a Jamal Hussain full toss to cover, but 45 runs had come off the first 4 overs. The next over, though, produced 2 more wickets to put the Panthers in real trouble. Scott Newman completely miscued a hit off Gregory and was caught behind by Kieswetter for 7. And Dalrymple went to his first ball as he was bowled by Gregory. Middlesex may have had 50 on the board after only 5 overs, but with 4 wickets now down, they had it all to do to claw their way back into this match. Dexter had no time to play himself in, but he still managed to find a maximum off Murali Kartik as he and Ryan McLaren added 40 in 6 overs. That meant that the rate required was now climbing and more wickets were inevitable. McLaren drove Kartik to long on to go for 12. Dexter hadn't given up hope just yet though, and he brought up the 100 in the 13th over with yet another 6. However, Kartik got the better of him next ball as he fired in a quick wide, which Keys went a red to stump Dexter for 35, leaving Middlesex 136 to win off only 45 balls. It was all over, but Middlesex had nothing to lose, and both John Simpson and Crook had to throw the bat at absolutely everything they could. It got to a situation of 6 or out as both batsmen had no option to take on the boundary fielders. And for a while it worked as this pair added 39 in only 3 overs. But Crook was then bowled looking for another big hit for 13 at 139 for 7. To his credit, Simpson kept going, and this was his best performance in a T20 game. He reached an outstanding 50 off just 22 balls, and that was incredibly the slowest of the match. Middlesex, though, was simply left with far too much to do. The game was well and truly over by the time that Smith fed Kirby's slower ball to Gregory, and Murtagh nicked Gregory behind to leave Middlesex on 195 for 9 at the end of their allotted overs. They had little chance after Kieswetter and Van der Merwe's outbursts, and eventually lost by 40 runs for their second defeat in 2 matches in this season's competition. Having lost their opening fixture at Hampshire, Somerset have come storming back with 2 wins to join the leaders of the South Group. But there is plenty more cricket to come.